All right.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the winners bracket finals for the Eternal Tournament Series Season 2 Invitational. All games from this point forward, including this one, will be played from a best-of-5 format with sideboarding after Game 1.
Yeah, so you've got aReNGee Eternal Zone, Loco Pojo on Stone Scar Maulers against aReNGee playing Big Combre. And so the original Stone Scar burn decks were kind of built as a response to the rise of Big Combre and have a very good matchup against it. Loco Pojo's version that exchanges some of the large burn spells for Stone Scar Mauls doesn't have quite as good a matchup because the Maul can't always hit face for 5 or 6, but I think it should still be favored.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting matchup. Definitely before board. There's a lot of cards in both players' decks that they don't necessarily need or want. I'm noting like this Suffocate over here out of Pojo in his opening hand doesn't look really too great against Big Combri, where really the best thing you're going to pick up is a Desert Marshal with it.
It can hit Seraph, but that's about the only target that matters.
Yeah, that's true. You can hit Seraph, which actually is very important. Like that isn't to be understated, but it does miss, unfortunately, a lot of threats. And we see I Read Minds lacking a bit of power here, but with some very powerful early drops. Going to put Pojo, kind of put Pojo on the back foot, make him figure out what he's got here. Whoa.
Yeah, so Pojo kind of missequenced his power here so that this champion doesn't have the Shadow Deadly bonus on turn 4. But it's fine, as he was going to do Torch plus Charge Chain Flow to take out that Titan, likely anyways.
Yeah, and that is unfortunate for him since he had to weave the two together. But we see I Read Minds stuck on power and also not picking up anything super great. These Desert Marshals will be fairly useful against the air units we see in Pojo's hands, such as the Soulfire Drake and the Umbran Reaper.
Yeah, both those units just get owned by Desert Marshal. But luckily for Pojo, the attack here baits the first Desert Marshal. So that means that one of these two... No, never mind. I Read Minds has 3 Desert Marshals in hand.
Yeah, he really does. Ooh, and he has a Protect. Wait, is he playing Protect in the main board? Does he have Protect in the main board at Big Country?
I mean, let's check.
Yeah, let's check his deck list in the meantime.
Yeah, he's playing 1 Protect. He's prepared for burn.
Yeah, I was like, he managed to draw his 1 of Protect, which will actually could be very relevant in this matchup at a point.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even going to get to that point, though. With the 3 Desert Marshals, 1 each for the Champion of Chaos, the Umbran Reaper, and the Soulfire Drake, Loco Pojo is looking to be kind of straight wrecked here.
Yeah, this is looking like Loco might just get run over very quickly in this first game here. Although I Read Minds not picking up any power, can't actually get any threats down. But we are going to see the Soulfire Drake get swept up very, very unfavorably for Pojo by this Desert Marshal.
Yeah, I mean, who needs power and threats when you have Desert Marshals?
Yeah, really. Drawing all 3 Desert Marshals off the top, like, and Loco acknowledging it a little bit that that is just... But
I Read Minds will, in fact, be Loco Pojo's Huckleberry.
Yeah, he will be his Huckleberry. No mistakes made there.
Right, yeah, and then a Vanquish for this Champion of Chaos. 2 Harsh Rules still left back behind. Like, I don't see how I Read Minds loses this game.
No, and this is the problem for Pojo I was pointing out earlier. Is like these Suffocates just don't do anything. And I Read Mind's going to fire off a Harsh Rule, which you think would actually be like good for Pojo, but with 2 more Harsh Rules to back it up and I Read Mind's hand, like, it's not like he's really wasting cards here.
Yeah, the only thing I think of is maybe Pojo draws a Stone Scar Maul and I Read Minds never finds other power, but I Read Minds already found the 6th power, so he's going to be able to start dropping Mystic Ascendants.
Yeah, he'll drop the Mystic Ascendant, and then any power after that is going to be super crucial. And we do see Flame Blast picked up. This is going to be killer with this Protect. And like, I don't know if Pojo is going to play around it, and I don't think he can. He's probably going to have to Flame Blast this Flame Blast this Mystic Ascendant. That's going to get protected, and that should just end this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Pojo realizes he's not going to win the game by using burn on units, and he's saving this to unleash a flurry of Flame Blast at I Read Mind's face, but Protect works against that too.
Yeah, it is gonna keep him alive, and not only that, but these Mystic Ascendants are completely out of control. Like this game is over. I am gonna go ahead and call it early, though I have been wrong before. This is done.
Yeah, I read mine just with all the answers. Desert Marshal into Desert Marshal into Desert Marshal into Vanquish into Harsh Rule into Harsh Rule into Protect into Valkyrie Enforcer, and Pojo just has nowhere to turn at any point.
Yeah, like I would have eaten my words a little bit here if it weren't for this Valkyrie Enforcer, but like the Umbran Reaper not going to be any threat. These units can easily push over it, and I'm assuming that Irie Mines is just going to silence it before he even bothers swinging in.
I,
Uh,
he doesn't care about the 10 health swing. Like these ascendants just go so far over the top of anything else that it just doesn't matter.
yeah, this is very true. Like he is down to 4 already, and I read minds knowing that Pojo really doesn't have any way to clean his board up. Is just going to go ahead and get the sandstorm down, and is gonna go ahead and actually close the game out. So we do see the end there. So let's check out these player sideboards and see what Pojo can bring to help even this matchup out a little bit. Right off the bat, cards I'm noticing that may come in. Annihilate's pretty solid here. It hits most of his targets.
Yeah, Iron Thorn, Ascendant,
The
Titan.
do you think the stash is coming in? Like, is that something he needs? Like, does he need the long game plan? I'm assuming Maiden's coming in.
Yeah, I think that the way that Pojo's sideboard is set up is that he wants to play the long game here. He likely takes out some of the cards that are really bad, such as the Umbran Reapers against all the silences and the suffocates, and he brings in stuff like Smuggler's Stash and Annihilate and Statuary Maiden.
Yeah, Saturated Maiden could prove to do quite a bit of work against the Big Comrie player. Let's check out the Big Comrie player's sideboard on the other hand. See what he's got going on over here. We got some decays, which are pretty standard, some protects. So yeah, at least he brought in one more protect. We're also seeing him bring in his extra vanquishes, which makes sense. Pojo's got a lot of big units.
I
Decay's
wouldn't be
sitting
surprised
in
if he
right
brings in
now.
the Awakened students and just tries to get on the board a little faster and sort of get under Pojo.
Yeah, Decay's sitting in the board right now. I'm curious as to if this will actually curious if the Decay is the right call here though. Like we saw a similar situation earlier where somebody played Pojo with it was Toth even. When Toth played, or no, it wasn't Toth. Sorry, it was Bobber Joe. Yeah, when Bobber Joe played Loco Pojo, he brought in the Decays and they ended up costing him a game because they just kind of sat dead in his hand. So
It looks like Pojo is going for the overload silence plan instead of the be immune to silence. He's just bringing in all the maidens. He's leaving in the Umbran Reapers. He's bringing in some Soulfire Drakes.
yeah, just make him have all the Desert Marshals, and that kind of was the story of that game right there. It's like I read minds really took over the game, not because like Pojo was on track. He had plenty of great cards, but I read minds just ripped 3 Desert Marshals, bro. Like it's pretty hard to just answer 3 Desert Marshals right off the start.
Yeah, Desert Marshal is one of the more efficient answer cards in the game. So I didn't catch whether I Read Minds did bring in his decays, but Pojo did go with the sideboard out relic weapons plan again here.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see if the decays came in. I think they probably did though. Like recognizing the malls on the list and recognizing that Stature Maiden is coming in, like at least he has targets for it, although they may not be the best. But if Pojo did pull his weapons out, this may prove to be a little tricky for Irie Minds.
A couple of pretty poor opening hands for these players, so they're both going to opt to redraw.
Ooh, and Pojo actually has a pretty solid redraw here. As long as he can get the second banner into play on time, so that he can have his Champion of Chaos down and the Argenport Instigator, this is going to be a pretty sweet little opener for him.
Yeah, he's got a very good curve. Instigator into Champion into either another Champion or a Statuary Maiden, and then a Flame Blast to clear the way of blockers and keep beating in.
Yeah, and I read minds over here, not actually able to play his Temple Scribe on curve, which is a little frustrating for him. But see what he decides to play here. Decides to go ahead and get the Valkyrie Enforcer down on the Champion of Chaos, and makes sense. Want to make sure those buffs aren't there. Can't just start pushing you around.
Yeah, it'll
And
be interesting what Pojo does here. He has to remove the Valkyrie Enforcer rather than play Statue Maiden in an attack. So he just wants to preserve as many units as possible to play around Harsh Rule.
yeah, this is pretty interesting. It was very interesting to see him fire off that Flame Blast. Like, even though I Read Minds has the protects in the deck, Flame Blast is a card that generally we would assume would be going upstairs. And now he's also in a position where that Annihilate was looking a lot better on that Valkyrie Enforcer. And now the Seraph is awkwardly in his way.
Yeah, Iron Minds did miss his fourth power drop, but he finds it now and is going to be able to drop the Temple Scribe and cycle for the fifth one so that he can Harsh Rule.
Yep, he goes ahead and gets the Temple Scribe down, gets the Vanquish down, the Champion of Chaos, and once again, like the Seraph is just kind of locking Pojo's board out for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Pojo has a Statue Maiden, but it's not particularly good at attacking here. Like, if he wants to, Iron Minds can just take two.
So this will be the test right here. If I Read Minds is assuming he's going to Harsh Rule, if he plays the Sandstorm Titan, then I would presume he's not expecting to Harsh Rule next turn.
Yeah, it just looks like he doesn't need it because he's ahead on the board now. Like, the Seraph is locking down everything. But Pojo does have the Annihilate for this Titan, and then is going to be able to put a Cudgel on another unit and start forcing Ireed to respond to him.
Well, it's interesting too because Pojo may not even need to put the Cudgel on. He could just opt in for the all-in swing and use that Flame Blast to clear it up. But he is just actually going to get in the 2 damage. Yeah, he has the burn in his hand. If he can make it to 5, basically close this game out already.
That is true. You only need to get your opponent down to 15 when you have a pile of Obliterates and Flame Blast in hand.
I Read Minds picking up the extra power, going for the all-in attack, signaling that thus Harsh Rule is coming down the pipeline.
Awkwardly though, if Pojo like blocks and loses a 3/3 here, I don't know if I Read Minds even has to Harsh Rule anymore.
Yeah, I think he just blocks the 1/1, forces the extra damage out. Or okay, this is okay too. Like if he offers the double block, this makes I Read Minds decide whether or not he's actually going to Harsh Rule here because it's not the best Harsh Rule now, but looks like he will go ahead and fire it off regardless.
Yeah, so Ireed has got kind of an awkward hand here. Like, Harsh Rule is nice in case Pojo plays any units, but these Mystic Ascendants are really weak if he doesn't have another power. Like, he's just going to play it as a 6 power 4/4. Like, that just dies to anything.
Yeah, we do see Pojo stall on power, though, holding almost exclusively 5 drops, and he's deciding whether or not he wants to fire with this Flame Blast, and I kind of think he has to. Like, I don't like holding the Flame Blast here. I like putting the 4 in, because if you hit your 5th power next turn, you're guaranteed 2 turns away from winning. Like, you should be able to force in with the Obliterate and the Soulfire Drakes.
This is really the downside of these big Stonescar burn decks. They just have so many 5-drops. So if you stumble, your hand looks like this, where it's just mono 5s.
Yeah, and I Read Minds even just passing here. So Pojo gonna see if he can force in with the I like it. I like it.
Yeah, now I Read Minds has to trade the Mystic Ascendant for this Soulfire Drake.
Yeah, now this
Instead
is
of just the Desert Marshal.
a lot worse. And he will trade the Mystic Ascendant, but that takes the clock off Pojo, guaranteeing that Pojo can get this down in 2 turns, assuming I Read Minds doesn't pick up a Protect here. And
so he has one more draw at it.
Does he have one more draw? I'm pretty sure this
he gets a draw off the Ascendant, but that's a whiff too.
Oh, okay, yeah. You're correct. You're correct. Yeah, he gets the extra draw, so he got the one more draw, but not enough, unfortunately. So Pojo will be closing game 2 out a little bit quicker, and that was a good game for him. Like he drew the burn. That's what his deck does. Those Stonescar decks, they love their Flame Blast and Obliterate.
Yeah, he had a sweat there for a minute, not drawing that 5th power on time, but
yeah, that definitely
he ended up getting there in the end.
It definitely threatened his position a lot. Like, not having that 5th power could have put him in a situation where he wasn't actually able to put anything on board. And if he had been forced into that situation, it's possible that the Mystic Ascendants could have just gone off for I Read Minds and carried the game, much like they normally do.
Yeah, Mystic Ascendant is definitely at its weakest against burn decks like this. Like, you generally can't play it until you're making your 7th power drop. And even then, it's only a 6/6. That sounds strange to say, but it's not really threatening to kill your opponent the next turn. So the burn deck can just ignore it and send obliterates at your face.
Yeah, very true. And we see them jumping in, and Loco giving us a beautiful, beautiful view of that premium Voprex right there.
So if Voprex is good anywhere, it's here. Like Big Combre is the deck that's most likely to have a big hand and a big board in the late game.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier when we were joking about the Voprex is that the only reason I can imagine Pojo wanting to bring that in as like a card, main board anyway, is if he thought like a lot of Combri was going to show up in the field. Because you're correct, Combri often has a couple cards in their hand and a decent sized board, and Voprex actually can put them in a bit of a bind where they have to make a choice they really don't want.
So Pojo opting for the slow approach rather than just playing a 4/4 Overwhelm Champion of Chaos, and that's fine. Like I Read Minds isn't presenting any huge threats
Yeah,
until the
not a,
Sandstorm Titan. But Pojo has a well, I was gonna say he had Steward of the Past, but Annihilate does the job too.
he probably actually will play Steward, and I would prefer him did. Yeah, just because it's fits better in on his curve here. Now since he has another sigil in hand, he can get the champion and the annihilate off in one turn.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Although this Valkyrie Enforcer silencing the 3/5 makes it quite awkward for the Sandstorm Titan coming in, so he will just elect to no blocks this and go ahead and fire off that annihilate at the Sandstorm Titan on this turn.
I think Loco Pojo is actually very happy to see that. Like of all of the units in his deck, I think that Steward of the Past is the best one for Pojo to get silenced. Like it's still a relatively solid body, whereas like Champion of Chaos turns into a 3/3 or Umber Reaper turns into a 5/1 and such things.
Yeah, that is true. Although Champion of Chaos is susceptible to Vanquish for that same reason, and Steward of the Past isn't. So there is like some trade off. I think the silence on the Steward was good, and it definitely pressured at the right time. But you're correct; he could have used the silence later on against something maybe like an Umbran Reaper that would have been a little more threatening to him.
All right, so Loco Pojo is going to have a very good Voprex next turn. Like he's either going to kill 3 units from Irie Mines or force Irie to pitch the 2 removal spells in his hand.
Wow, and Loco even picking up Subvert. So if Ireed picks up something he can't play, wow, this will be the first
selection box before. Sacrifice all units, discard hand.
Yeah, so I have to imagine he's just going to sacrifice all units so he has the harsh rule for next turn to take care of this, but that does leave Ireed Minds with no board and only a Vanquish. And Loco on the other side, we do see that he's got the Subvert he can take the Vanquish with, and he's got the Steward to start pressuring the life total.
Well, Ireed is going to hold this power in hand for Mystic Ascendant, so Pojo might be disappointed when he only subverts a time sigil.
Yeah, very true. We'll see. Does he get the 50-50?
Oh,
And
he does. Very nice for Pojo.
Yeah, Pojo getting his 50-50 there, and now he is in a very solid position. And this Mystic Ascendant coming down is going to get a draw, but it's just going to die to that Vanquish that Pojo just stole from Ireed.
Ireed does pick up a Sandstorm Titan off the draw, though, so he's going to be able to keep putting out threats here.
Yeah, and that is important. Like, it's very easy for him to still take this game. Like, Combri's ceiling is much higher than Stone Scar's.
Yeah, Pojo has Smuggler Stash as like a draw that blows out the game, whereas Ireed has tons and tons of draws that blow out the game.
Yeah, and Ireed just picking up sigils here. I don't know why he's playing them, though. I would definitely be saving them for your Mystic Ascendants and cards like that.
But you only really need to hold one in hand because you'll get 3 draws in between playing the Mystic Ascendant and like needing to play your next power drop. And this way he gets to sort of make his way towards 11 power, where you can play Seraph and activate her in the same turn.
Yeah, this is also true. What are we going to do here? So this Cumber Healer probably gets eaten by this Suffocate.
And but not before creating a 5/9 Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, the Sandstorm Titan just kind of hanging around awkwardly, and Pojo drawing into a lot of power and seeking power abilities. So the Sandstorm Titan
don't like the Suffocate on the Cumber Healer. Now Pojo's only removal spell left in hand is a Torch. So if Ireed draws a Seraph, it's just gonna crush Pojo.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Like, not having removal for Seraph is something that can be a huge problem in this matchup. That's one very quick way Pojo could lose this out. And unfortunately, due to these Combri healer buffs, the Sandstorm Titan has become very unkillable with direct damage with these torches. He's going to need to pick up a Flame Blast for 12.
Yeah, 512. That's
Uh,
quite the stat line.
Well, he did just pick it up. Like that actually is. He could opt for the 12 damage on the Titan right here. Like he does have
If
it.
he goes for it, he gets 3 for 1 by protect.
Yeah, it is very bad. Don't get me wrong, but that there must be a consideration at Pojo at some point. Also, I think he might just be trying to hang on now for like lethal, just dredge up lethal with straight burn. He's already got 12. His opponent's down to 24, so he's looking for 12 more.
Yeah, 1 Flame Blast puts him to lethal burn. It'll be interrupted by aReNGee's Protect, but Pojo doesn't know that.
Yeah, so that's his game plan. Oh, and another Combra healer, man. These
Third
Combra
Combra
healers.
healer. So aReNGee has gained 10 extra health this game with the 3 Combra healers and a Temple Scribe. And in the meantime has created a 515 Sandstorm Titan.
Yeah, this 515 Sandstorm Titan is holding down the ground very well. And it's interesting because there was a point where he might have wanted to sacrifice it. With the second Titan, it's a little more relevant. But if he had only had the one Titan, he would be worried about letting it.
Ooh, Annihilate. That'll take care of the big butted Titan. I mean, they're both big butted, but one of them is like one of those rap guys' girlfriends, and one of them is just a normal 5'6".
Yeah, this will. Interestingly enough, like this will catch the protect. I have to imagine, which while on the one hand it doesn't get rid of the Titan is very bad. On the other hand, it does open Pojo up to this out where he can just come up with enough burn to win the game.
Yeah, that's a little bit further out of range now. Now that aReNGee has 27 health, but if Pojo draws a Flame Blast plus an Obliterate, he will have it.
Well,
Although he's spinning the Obliterate here.
yeah. Interestingly enough, he actually didn't even need the Obliterate since the Umbran Reaper can provide the extra 5 damage.
Yeah, very true. I'm skeptical that this Umbran Reaper lasts long enough to get the Entomb off, given the number of silences in aReNGee's deck.
Very true, though. Pojo, at any point, if he needs to push for it, can just swing with it for 5. And if you don't block it, it's 5 damage either way. So,
Very true. Ooh, and aReNGee picks up the 12th power here. So he's going to be able to Great Parliament for 3 Owls.
yeah, and now Pojo's in an interesting position where he's got to figure out what he wants to block here. And he's just deciding to clean the board up. But yeah, I think these Owls, Pojo's going to need like running Flame Blasts, essentially, to get him out of this situation.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like aReNGee is going to take this game.
Yeah, he's going to have 17 power down on board. So if Pojo picks up a Flame Blast this turn and a Flame Blast next turn, he should be fine. Although, since these Owls are grounded, they will get sacrificed, at least one of them, if he decides to attack with them.
Ooh, there comes the Seraph now, too. So aReNGee's finally hitting his string of live draws.
Yeah, finally. And we have seen both players draw a lot of power here, but aReNGee has finally hit something, and then, ooh, 18-18. Ouch.
Yeah, and the Subvert isn't going to do anything when aReNGee has no hand. So looks like we're going to be going to game 4 here with aReNGee ahead 2-1 over Loco Pojo.
Yep, we will see if the players want to re-examine their sideboard. But Pojo knows this is game and decides that he's going to maybe try and make a last block before he ducks out. So yes, we will be getting into game 4 after we revisit our sideboards real quick. See if Pojo can make the comeback now that he is down 2-1. Let us see. Seems like players are revisiting their sideboard slightly, just trying to adjust some numbers. The cards that they've already wanted to bring in are probably staying in, and the cards that they want to pull are gone. So we will see. You know, it's interesting that the one time we did see Voprex go off in the matchup that it would do good against, it didn't matter anyway.
Well, I mean, it killed 3 things. It wasn't terrible, and
well,
I mean, on the plus side, we got to see Voprex on stream.
Yeah, very true. But what I mean by that is, like, yes, it did kill 3 units, but since aReNGee had the harsh rule in hand anyway, he ended up just harsh ruling on the next turn, and it was essentially just like he had played harsh rule himself anyway. It just forced him to play it instead.
Yeah, very true. So Pojo is adjusting his sideboard here. Looks like he wants to bring in more Smeller Stash, Stone Scar Maul package cards
Yeah,
to kind of gear up for the late game.
yeah, we'll see what other cards he has to bring in. Still got the Subverts in. Subvert could put in a lot of work in this matchup, really. It really could.
Yeah, the awkward thing is that the Cambrai deck always wants to hold power in hand, even in the late game. So Subvert isn't like guaranteed to hit a good card like it is in a lot of other matchups.
No, that's entirely true. Like it is questionable whether or not it will hit a good pickup, but some of the pickups that he could get are just like absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, and,
Like
and it is
if he
still
could,
very strong in the mid game. Both players are still
like,
developing.
imagine if Pojo picks up a Mystic Ascendant and Irie doesn't have an answer available. Or another good one, imagine that Pojo picks up a Harsh Rule and then Iree's builds a board.
That is true. No one ever expects the. Well, I guess you do expect it when it gets stolen, but like oftentimes you'll get a harsh rule off your Felon Bloodcaster in a Felon control deck, for instance, and no one expects harsh rule out of the Felon deck.
Yeah, it does come up more often than you would think. We're seeing interesting starts here. Pojo light on early interaction, as is I read mine. So we're not going to see anything for the first few turns. We'll probably see some seeking power out of both players, but that'll really be it. I read mine's will lead off his third turn with his Combri healer, but that will be the first piece of action we see.
Yeah, Pojo's hand is just a bunch of removal and statuary maiden. So I think we'll probably see Pojo play the turn 4 maiden and then turn 5 and beyond start picking off units to get cudgels.
Yeah, and I read mine has some. He has some solid early units, and he's also picked up quite a few answers. He's got the Protect in hand off the gate, and he has the Vanquish and Scorpion Wasp. Just another solid pickup, going to help him defend against things like the Statuary Maiden and the Soulfire Drake pushing in.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that this game is still anyone's game here. I read mine's hand isn't particularly great, and neither is Loco Pojo's.
Yeah, I don't think it's anyone's game. You're correct, but I definitely feel as though I'm leaning towards I read here to win this series. Like he's just got so many solid cards right now, and Loco is a little light on things to do. Like he really needs to get more units down on the board, and this Soulfire Drake will get in for a single turn possibly. But even if the Scorpion Wasp doesn't catch it, it'll just get vanquished.
Yeah, well, look, Pojo is really looking for a turn where I read mine's powers down, and he can land a hit with that Soulfire Drake without it getting immediately desert marshaled.
Yeah, and this is kind of awkward for Pojo then because he's kind of just going to be waiting around. Like the 2/4 now that it's been silenced just runs into the Combri healers, so we've got no interaction on the board. And in the meantime, I read Minds is building up his power base, and him building his power base favors him a lot more than Pojo.
Yeah, the combat deck can use basically any amount of power, whereas Pojo can't really use more than 7 or 8.
Yeah, he can utilize it with a flame blast, but that's not where you want to be. You're not trying to like triple or quadruple flame blast your opponent to death. You're trying to just weave the flame blast in towards the end.
And it looks like Pojo is finally going to pull the trigger on the Soulfire Drake, and he's going to be pleasantly surprised that it's a Scorpion Wasp, not a Desert Marshal. And all of Pojo's units in his deck are going to get powered up with either flying or charge.
Yeah, very true. Loco being patient there. Given the position he's in, I almost could have seen him firing off like the Annihilate at the
I think
Scorpion
he
Wasp,
just
trying to
really
keep the
wanted
Drake
to
alive.
get the Entomb effect before I Read Minds is able to silence it.
Yeah, and that is a very good point too. Getting that Soulfire Drake and Tomb off is very critical to these matchups. You need those units to have charge so that I Read Minds can't proactively answer your units.
Yeah, so
Or
Pojo is kind of getting flooded on power here, and I Read Minds is kind of not picking up the power he needs, but he's able to keep poking for a couple points of damage per turn.
yeah, he's got this little bit of damage. I'm curious, does I Read Minds have any like 1 damage effects, or is there a reason why Pojo's not blocking Seraph?
Yeah, I'm not certain there. I Read Minds definitely does not have any ping effects.
Yeah, or any pump spells. Like you wouldn't imagine he's playing a big
Oh, yeah,
number.
I guess he has Stand Together and in his sideboard, and perhaps Loco Pojo is playing around the Stand Together.
Yeah, very true. Oh, and we see interesting. We see I read minds elect not to use that protect. He's going to hold it for something like these Mystic Ascendants here, and it will actually like that will favor him because Pojo is going to try and fire this Annihilate off into it, and we'll get caught on this protect.
Yeah, so fortunately for Pojo, he has an Obliterate to kill this Ascendant once and for all, but after that, Pojo is out of gas, and I Read Mind still has 2 Vanquishes, a Desert Marshal, and a Seraph in hand.
Yeah, all I read minds needs to do here is commit Seraph to board and then pick up another power, and this game is done. And if I were him, I'm not sure you need this Combri healer at this point. Like, I feel like you really just okay. He likes to play both. I thought he was going to hold up for the Desert Marshal, in case of anything like a Soulfire Drake, but it looks like he is just getting everything in.
Yeah, I would have put the health boost on the Seraph, but it's unlikely to matter.
Yeah, it is unlikely to matter, and I read minds just looks like he's not running out of gas at any point soon. Picking up another Valkyrie Enforcer, and Pojo over here looking a little bit dead in the water. Ooh, Voprex!
Voprex with charge. This is actually a really good pickup.
Yeah, this is a really solid Voprex. Like, I have to imagine out of I read minds, you're gonna have to sacrifice your board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
and
picks
keep
up
your
a
hand.
Seraph and a whole bunch of little units too. What that was an amazing Voprex.
Yeah, that was the first and probably only good Voprex there will ever have been.
That's a little harsh, but
It's a little harsh. I just don't have much love for the card, and it gets vanquished away. And while that was very good and did eat some of his resources, like it slowed the clock down for Pojo and lets him get back in. But he still does have this Valkyrie Enforcer that he'll be able to start poking away with.
Pojo just picks up another power.
Pojo is just horribly power flooded right now, and with this great Parliament pickup, I think that's going to spell the end.
Yeah, that's if there's a downfall to these burn decks besides just having a lot of clunky cards, it's that you have no way to use excess power, and you have to play a whole bunch of power so that you can hit 5 on turn 5. So they're very prone to flooding out. They're almost unbeatable if you draw like 5 to 7 power, and they're really awful if you draw a number greater or lower than that.
Yeah, very true. So that will be our winners bracket finals all wrapped up. I read mine's taking it 3-1 over Loco Pojo with his big Combri.
Yeah,
Uh,
so that means that Iron Minds is going to be waiting in grand finals, and Loco Pojo is going to drop down to play against Sir Rhino in a losers finals best of 5 that I'm really looking forward to.
yeah, I am looking forward to this a lot. Loco Pojo and Sir Rhino, two of the best players in the entire game, and they're going to be squaring it off in a best of 5 with some really sick decks here. Before we cut to a short break, like, what are your predictions going to this next match? Like, you have to assume, right, that like the Stone Scar Maulers list could be favored here. Like, they have so much direct damage and so much burn, the mauls, even like the relic weapons.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Pojo is favored, but Sir Rhino has been playing against the odds all day, every single match, including against a bunch of Stone Scar decks, and he just keeps winning.
Yeah, he really does have that the heart of the cards, you could even say. So he's going to continue pushing on here, and we are going to take a very, very short break before we jump right back in to the losers bracket finals to determine who is going to face I Read Minds in our last match of the day. Stay tuned, folks. Do not go anywhere. We will be back in just a moment.